Hey there, folks. Before we begin, I would really appreciate it if you'd be willing to go search up the BIPOC Streamer Awards and cast your vote for the Chatterbox Award for the Winging It podcast, because we're up for it for this year, and we'd really like to potentially win that. So if you could do us a favor, head over there and make that vote for us, that would be highly appreciated. On with the discussion. Hey there, everybody. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and we're having another Gamer's Memory discussion. And this is about my N64. So the original one that I had, I don't have anymore. I only really had that one for about 2 weeks, if I'm honest. So, I want to say I was about 10 or 11. And my eldest brother bought me a used N64. He got that with a brand new copy of Jet Force Gemini and F-Zero. And it was hard for me to remember which were the first two games I got for it. I knew Jet Force Gemini right off the bat, but I couldn't remember what the second game was. And the only reason I even think it's F-Zero X is because I don't ever remember owning my N64 without F-Zero X. But he got me that in those two games. And I take that back. I had that N64 for about 2 months. Now I'm thinking about it. But he got me that used N64 and 2 games with it. Now, there was a unique thing about this N64. And that was that the bottom right portion of the inside of the second player slot, the plastic was chipped off. Like that little corner section, it was chipped off of it. And he was concerned it wouldn't work. But he got me 2 controllers with it when he gave it to me. So we had plugged up both controllers, found out that it still worked. There was no issue with that slot. It was just the plastic piece was removed. So I had that N64 for about 2 months. One weekend, I head out to go to a friend's house to stay there for the weekend. And I only really took my games and my controllers with me because he had an N64 too, so there was no point in me bringing mine. Long story short, weekend wraps up. I come back home, plug in my controllers without looking at the N64, go put a game in, and try to turn it on, and it doesn't work. And I'm sitting there confused. So I take the game out. I had cartridge cleaning stuff, so I cleaned out the cartridge and everything, making sure it wasn't dirty because it was in my backpack. And my backpack at the time was a little junky, so I had stuff in there. So I took that out. I cleaned it and everything, put it back in there, tried to turn it on, and then I realized that the power wasn't turning on, even though the 64 was plugged in. It was not turning on. And I'm sitting here getting frustrated and mad, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is it not working? Obviously, this is kid me saying this in my mind because I wasn't going to say it out loud. Fun fact, before I was 18, I did not cuss in the presence of adults. I would not. I didn't let myself. Even though I knew the words, I didn't let myself. So this is in my head because my mother was like, right there in the kitchen cooking, and I'm in the living room trying to figure out why my N64 isn't working. So I go ahead and take it, pull everything off of it, and then I realize, wait, this isn't my 64. I'm looking at the second player slot. That plastic piece that was chipped is there. The one unique feature to this 64 that I remember distinctly somehow is working. I mean, not working. Somehow is fixed. It's fixed there. And then I took off the cover for the jump pack, and I noticed that the jump pack has a different cut. Like, it's cut differently. There's overlap from a different jump pack where mine was then placed. Because I also, when I was looking over my 64, I did open that jump pack slot, and the line was cut cleanly on mine. Whoever did the cut on this one didn't cut it cleanly, and the tape with part of the same message was on the jump pack that's in the 64. So I looked at that and I'm like, where is my 64? Because this one isn't mine. So I closed it up, and I started to get heated. I got mad. I was complaining loudly, wondering what happened with the machine that belonged to me, that was mine, because I can't play my stuff now. And I was so agitated and so angry, and my mother heard me start going off, so she came to see what was wrong. And I was like, this isn't mine. This wasn't mine. This is not my Nintendo 64. This one is not mine at all. This one has a corner that is fixed where mine was broken, and I can't play my games on this. Little did I know that my other brother had gone ahead and swapped out a broken 64 for mine and took mine to a pawn shop and sold it. So by the time anybody got around to figuring out what happened, my 64 that was broken, my 64 that was working, was sold off from that pawn shop. And I sat there mad. I was pissed off. I was angry. I was upset. Because something I was given, that was gifted to me, was stolen and then sold off. And I had no way to recover it. So for all the stuff I had from my 64, I would now have to wait to be able to use it. Because I think by the time this happened, I had Pokemon Stadium. By the time this happened, I had Pokemon Stadium, and that was the game I was actually trying to play when I set it up. And I got so upset. It's like, I was pissed. I was beyond words pissed. And I just remember being so mad about it. I just said, fuck, I gave up. I just gave up and just called it a day. At that point, there was nothing I could do. And my oldest brother, he was going to Job Corps at the time. So he'd be gone for weeks at a time and then come back. So he came back and was wondering why I wasn't playing the 64, because I had been playing it a lot from what he had seen. And he saw this other one and he's like, hold on, this isn't the 64 I bought you. And I'm looking at it, I was like, yeah, it's not it. Like I said, our other brother took mine and sold it off, and I can't get mine back now. And this man sat down for a day, almost a full day, tinkering with this one, cleaning off the diodes and everything, took it apart, cleaning out the internals and stuff like that, put it back together. He got it to start powering on first. Then he took his time cleaning off the diodes and pushing pieces and things back in place where they actually belonged. And eventually, it booted up. it eventually booted up and I could start playing my games on it. And I still have that Nintendo 64 now to this day. I still have that one. Because the original one that I had is gone, but I still have that N64. Which I'm happy to have that one, because now, even though it was a horribly sad memory at one point, it's now a really good memory, because I have a unique tale for it. Which makes that one a little bit more special to me now, even though it wasn't the original one that I had. It was the 64 that was completely dead and then resurrected. Because I had an older brother that was working in technical skills and took the time to fix it. And I remembered that. Like that became a thing for me. And I didn't think he could fix it, honestly. I really didn't think he could fix it. I thought that we would need to take it somewhere if we were going to get it fixed and pay for it to be fixed. But no, he proved me wrong. He proved me very wrong. And I was happy as hell, because then I could get back into all the games I had. I think at this point I had about 6 or 7 N64 games. And they sat for a 2-week period being untouched. I was so I remember that because I was so upset about it and so mad and angry. And then when that happened, it's like that just went away. Like all that went away. I completely forgave the idea that my first one was taken from me, because it was pointless to be upset over something I didn't have anymore when I had one that worked equally as well at this point. So that had an impact on me. That also made me be a little bit more careful about where I put my stuff. Obviously, because I didn't want my things to just go missing on me, especially if I wasn't home. So I took more time to make sure my stuff was put away properly and kept an eye on where I left my stuff. I got very miserly about my things for a good while after that. Like, if anybody wanted to borrow something, I most definitely said no. Right off. I most definitely said no. It was like, unless I knew you for a long time, I said no. I would not let anybody touch anything or borrow anything. And it's understandable as to why I would be that way after that. And I have a lot of memories in this second N64 I ended up with, because it replaced the one I originally had. So, and I did, like, it was the thing, I was like, I didn't even get a full year with this thing before it got taken from me, and then my brother had to fix the one that was the imposter that was put in place of it. I mean, it started out as a horrible thing, a horrible feeling and memory, and then it became something good from it, because, hey, I was able to get something that wasn't working and get it working again. My brother did that for me, and I was highly appreciative. And I think after that, we spent like hours, after we got it going working again, we spent hours playing F-Zero. Like I tested a bunch of my games, make sure everything would turn on in it. But after that, we definitely played F-Zero X for quite a while, because I think people came over that weekend, and we were all taking turns trying to outdo each other in the time trial, racing. So it was like, okay, like we did that, which that was a lot of fun. But it just shows, like, sometimes a bad situation can be turned around into something good. Even when you don't think it can, it can. Just depends on the circumstances, but it's one of those things that still sticks with me today. And remembering that, being able to go back to find that little kid in my head and how hurt and ready to just destroy things I was, to being able to be peaceful about it. But that's it for me. Thank you guys very much for listening, and keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games and peace out. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in. If you would be interested in supporting my efforts in content creation, please head on over to Amazon and look up The Game Idea Guy Presents Gaming Word Search, and you will find both Volume 1 and Volume 2 up for sale. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to be able to create more content for you in the future. Peace out.